Welcome to another video from earnped.com. I'm Stevie B, happy to have you all with us today. So today, as promised, this is probably going to be one of the biggest videos we've ever put out. This is being recorded on October 3rd, 2022, and this is the one Entropia Universe video you absolutely have to watch in 2023. If you don't watch this video, chances are you are going to be like the vast majority of Entropia players, and you are going to miss out on a great part of Entropia that allows you to put pen to paper and take a lot of the mystery out of probably one of the biggest parts of what most people consider a mystery of the game. So here we go, we're going to get right to it. So first things before we get started, I know I've got a lot to cover in this video. Let's go to a local crafter, and first things first, we need to talk about blueprints. Now let's talk about the basics. We've got a quality rating which will apply to any unlimited blueprint. Limited blueprint, the quality rating is already going to be maxed out, but on unlimited blueprints they're going to have a quality rating between 1 and 100, and the more you use it, the more that quality rating will tick up. Limited blueprints, they can only be used for a certain number of clicks, so the quality rating is automatically set at 100. Then you're going to have a success rate. Quality rating plus the skills you have equals success rate. So you can have all the skills and no quality rating, you're going to have less than maximum success rate. However, if you have max skills plus max quality rating, you're going to have max success rate. Okay? Now, obviously we've made other videos in the past talking about how to get those skills, things like vehicle structural repair on motherships, stuff like that. But right now, what I want you to take away right here at the very beginning is when you're dealing with unlimited blueprints, the quality rating of the blueprint plus the skills you have to use that blueprint determines the success rate. And we see the success rate over here as a number, a percentage: 93.5, 87.1, 90, 81.4. In fact, if we sort by success rate, we can see that I don't yet have the skills necessary to use Weapon Damage Enhancer 9. It's got a quality rating of 79.4. That's a really good quality rating for a Weapon Damage Enhancer 9 print. It's a very high level print. So right now with the skills I have, I would only have a 33.4% success rate. That means I need to get my skills up before I use that print. However, if I was to use something like System Stabilizer Blueprint, I've got plenty of skills. Even though the quality rating is only 1.0, it's not anywhere near, it's a brand new print pretty much, it's never been used. I've still got an 81.4% success rate. Now ideally, this would be raised up to 100, right? So that's going to become very important in a minute. So what I want you to do is, instead of focusing on the quality rating, I want you to focus on this number over here, the success rate. So this is the one that I'm going to be using, the Bruchite Stone Texture Blueprint. 93.5% success rate. Remember that number, 93.5. Now, let's take note, a little side note, let's put a little pin in it and a little sticky note, that my skills are maxed out, and the current quality rating when we start is 80.8. So it does still have a little bit of an ability to go higher. I can still continue to raise that quality rating by using this print. But let's set that aside for a moment. I want you guys to look at the success rate of 93.5%. So before we get started, since we are on Monria, we're going to go over and talk to the NPC Toby. Toby is going to give us the mission. If I can bring him 500 more supplies, doesn't matter what the supplies are, he'll give me a reward. Will do. So I have to successfully craft Monria items 500 times. Doesn't matter what the item is, I just have to successfully craft 500 times. Now, this is the perfect mission for what we're about to do. So if I decide to make Bruchite Stone Texture Blueprint, I've got a 93.5% success rate. How many successful crafts do I need to complete this mission? 500. So if my success rate is 93.5 and I need 500 successes, then most people would do the math and they would figure, okay, well, I'm actually just going to need barely over 500. In fact, let's do some basic math here. If I need 500 successes, and that's going to be 93.5%, so 500 times 100 divided by 93.5. So basic math tells me if I've got a 93.5% success rate and I need 500 successful crafting attempts, then it should take 534.759358. So just shy of 535 attempts in order to get 500 successes if I've got a 93.5% success rate, right? Well, let's test that. So we're going to set this to 535. And we're going to start crafting. Now we want it all the way on quantity. We don't want condition, because obviously the success rate will go down. If we use our slider, see how the success rate goes down when we do condition? We don't want that. We want quantity. Now, we'll get into quantity versus condition later. That's a whole different beast. But for right now, we're focusing on that 93.5% success rate number. And we want the full success rate ability. So we're going to leave it fully on quantity. We're doing a stackable, so that's fine. We don't need to use residue or anything. And we can just start. And we know, based off our math, that if we do 535 attempts, then we should have 500 successes if we've got a 93.5% success rate. Now, what are we seeing? We're seeing right off the bat that we didn't get success. We got 2 near successes at the very beginning. That seems kind of weird. Oh, look, there's a third one. We're not actually going to have to go through the whole 535. I want you guys to see something real quick. There's number 4 for near success. And I think some of you are starting to see where I'm going with this. Number 5, near success. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8, that one was a fail. So 8, 9, 10. Okay, so what's going on here? So clearly something's wrong, because out of the 535 attempts that we set it to, if we've got a 93.5% success rate, then there's only 35 of those attempts that should be failures or near success. Everything else should just be success across the board. I mean, clearly we're 24 attempts in and we've only had 11 successful attempts. We can clearly see that from the mission we're tracking. So what is going on here? And this gets to the point of probably one of the biggest mysteries, or one of the biggest things in Entropia that I think most people do not understand when it comes to crafting. They cannot figure out why it says 1 success rate whenever you look at the construction terminal, but then you have vastly different results when you actually get to crafting. Why is that? I can tell you from doing this mission, I'm going to have to do about 1,000 to 1,100 attempts in order to get 500 successes. Clearly, that is vastly different from a 93.5% success rate. So what's going on here? And I think this is one reason a lot of people stay away from crafting. I think it's one reason a lot of people pull their hair out when crafting. I think it's one reason that people just throw money at crafting, not really understanding what they're doing here. And it's something that I have to admit, it took me a lot of time and a lot of headache in order to really nail it down and make it something that I could articulate. So clearly we're missing something. So let's back up a second. If we go out and we hunt, long term, what can we expect our return to be? our quote-unquote success rate when hunting? Well, we can expect probably somewhere in the area of 93, 94, 95, 96% returns long term. Same with mining, right? So it would make sense that it's the same with crafting. A lot of people get the basic concept of limited blueprints versus unlimited. They get the concept of quality rating. They get the concept that the quality rating is set to 100% on limited blueprints, but on unlimited blueprints it goes up over time. They even get the concept of skills plus quality rating equals success rate. They understand you have to have max skills plus max quality rating in order to get max success rate. All those things, most players, I think, are pretty quick to catch on to. Where they get tripped up when it comes to crafting, they understand quantity versus condition, they understand when you would want to use each, when you want to use residue, making a limited item that you're going to sell versus not using residue for stackables or for something you're not going to sell. They understand all that. Where they get tripped up when it comes to crafting, the big mystery with crafting in Entropia centers around this quote-unquote fake success rate. It's not a fake success rate. For the longest time, I scratched my head about it too. So, drum roll please. I am going to blow a lot of minds right now, and I know there's going to be people out there sitting there watching this video that go, well, yeah, obviously. But I'm telling you, for the average player, they don't understand this. For the average player, this concept is completely lost on them, and I'm going to turn on a light bulb right now. Clearly, when we look at the success rate over here, when we look at this success rate number of 93.5%, and then we go to our construction and we actually start doing it, and that's not the result we're getting, most people just go, I don't understand why that number's there. I don't understand why I'm not getting a 93.5% success rate. So here's the part where I'm going to blow your mind. What if you were? What if that's exactly what you were getting? And I know you're going, no, I can see it. Near success, near success, near success, near success, near success. This is clearly not 93.5%. But what if it is? Because I'm going to let you in on a secret. It is. You're looking at the wrong thing. Over here where it says fail, near success, or success, quit looking at that column entirely. Just ignore it. Act like it's not even there. I know it's hard to do. I know that's where the dopamine hit is. I know that's where the little pleasure centers in the brain are. But forget this column over here completely. Forget what this says. In fact, forget the word success. Let's go back over here. Forget the word success rate. Just look at the number, 93.5%. Forget where it says success. Forget where it says fail. Forget where it says near success. Look at the column where it says value. This is the column we need to be focusing on. So, drum roll please. When you are looking at the quote-unquote success rate when crafting in Entropia, what you are looking at is the percentage of TT value that is going to be given back to you if you do a decently long crafting run. So if it says success rate 93.5%, then what it is telling me is if I do any type of decently long crafting run, I can expect to get back 93.5% of the TT value I put into that crafting run. I know, mic drop moment, right? Because it just clicked with everybody. It's not talking about this column over here. It's not talking about what it says over here. It's talking about the results you can expect over here in TT value. Now, this isn't universally true. There are exceptions to the rule. Boosted blueprints would be a very good exception to the rule. I'm not talking about boosted blueprints. I'm talking about your average blueprint. I'm not talking about blueprints that act differently than virtually every other blueprint. I'm talking about the average blueprint. On your average blueprint, it can be limited, It can be unlimited. Take boosted prints out of it. I'm even going to go as far as to say take enhancer blueprints out of it. Looking at other blueprints as a whole, when you're looking at that success rate that it lists, you're not talking about how many times you're going to see the word success over here. You're talking about the TT value you can expect to get back over here. So if I want to craft a blueprint and it says I've got an 85% success rate, and maybe that's because I've got all the skills, but it's a very low quality rating blueprint, or maybe it's a high quality rating blueprint, but I've got less than full skills. So if it says I've got an 85% success rate, what that really means is not out of 100 attempts I'm going to succeed 85 times. It doesn't even mean out of 100 attempts I'm going to have a success plus a near success 85 times. What it means is if I take that blueprint with my skills and that 85% success rate, and I do a 1000 ped TT value run, I'm going to end up with 850 ped as a result. Mind blown, right? That means that under those circumstances, if I do a 100 ped run, I'm going to end up with 85 ped TT value as a result. If I do a 10,000 ped run, I'm going to end up with 8,500 ped as a TT value as a result. Now again, one caveat, and this is true across the board in Entropia, you have to do more than one. I can't do like one crafting attempt any more than I can shoot one creature or drop one mining probe. And yes, there's going to be days where my results are less than that number. There's going to be other days where I hit a Hall of Fame and my results are much greater than that number. But long term, averaging it, what I can expect is if it's got an 85% success rate, then whatever TT value I pump in, it's going to pump out 85%. So this particular blueprint has a 93.5% success rate. So you know what that means? Whatever TT value I pump in, it's going to pump out 93.5% of that. I can literally turn on this blueprint right here and walk away and come back 2 hours later, and whatever TT value has been pumped in for the inputs, 93.5% of that TT value is going to be pumped out in the form of outputs. Now do you understand why everybody is looking at that success rate, and then when they go to craft, they say, I don't get it. I'm looking at my successes, my near successes, and my fails, and I'm nowhere near what it said I would be at. It's not talking about success, near success, and fail. Forget this column is here altogether. I wish I could just delete this column out. I wish this info column I could just get rid of completely. Because if I could get rid of the info column right here, and I could leave it where it was just the value that was being pumped out, every single time, it's going to match what it says the success rate is. Forget that it says success rate. What it should say is TT value out. Instead of success rate, just imagine it says TT value pumped out. So whatever TT value I pump in, that's the percentage of TT value it's going to pump back out to me. And I know there's a lot of jaws on the floor right now. There's a lot of people going, well, obviously, that's how it works. But I'm telling you, I think for the average player, for the average person playing Entropia, for the average person that is out there trying to craft, they're not understanding this. They're looking at that success rate, and they're looking at this info column, and they're seeing failed, success, near success, and they're not able to wrap their head around why they're looking at a success rate number so much higher, and then they're coming over here and actually doing it, and it seems like the results suck so much worse. Well, it's because it's talking about two different things. If it says you've got a 95% success rate, then whatever TT value you put in, it's going to pump out 95% of that. Now again, on each individual click, if I only do one click, I have no idea. One click I could fail, one click I could have a near success, one click I could hit a half. But if I do a large amount of clicks, a large sample size, then I'm going to have 95% of the TT value pumped right back out to me. If I've got a blueprint that says I've only got a 30% success rate because the quality rating is very, very low and my skills are far below where they should be, that's going to be pretty horrendous because whatever TT value I put in, it's only going to pump out 30% of that. So if I spend 1,000 ped crafting, I'm only going to get 300 ped back in results. And when I say results, I'm talking residue, I'm talking stackables, I'm talking items, I'm talking all of it put together. Just like with hunting, you don't only see the good hunting loot that has the high markup. You've got the shrapnel in there, you've got your residue in there, your oils in there, you've got it all in there added together, right? So same thing with crafting. I'm going to have the actual result from the item I wanted to craft, but then I'm also going to have my residue and my other things that come into play with it. So when I add it all together, when I add all those outputs together, it's going to be the exact same number that that success rate says it should be. And I know this is mind-blowing for a lot of players, but it's also a game changer for a lot of players because once people understand this concept, now you can make a lot more sense out of the economy. Now you can make a lot more sense out of crafting. Now I can go in and I can say, okay, if I want to make end items to sell to other players, and I know that I'm using a limited blueprint that has several hundred clicks, and I've got the skills for it, so that limited blueprint has a 95% success rate. I know that the TT value per attempt is this, and I know I'm going to get back 95% of that TT value over the course of this entire run. Then I can go in and say, okay, what materials do I need in order to craft it? What materials do I not have that I need that I have to buy? What can I afford to pay for those materials on the open market? I can actually do all my math. I can work out all the profit margins. I can turn around and figure out what do I have to sell this item for after I make it in order to break even, in order to recoup that lost 5% TT value, in order to recoup that lost markup I had to pay for the inputs that I lost the TT value of 5% on. What do I have to do to break even? What do I have to do to profit? Okay, is that number above or below the market demand for whatever it is I'm going to make whenever I go to sell it? I can do all the math and work out all the numbers before I ever start crafting once I understand the concept that that success rate that you're looking at, it's not talking about how many times you're going to see the word success over here in the info column. It's telling you what percentage TT-wise is going to be pumped out. So it's telling me that whatever TT value I pump in to the crafting attempts, it's going to pump out that percentage as outputs. Now again, it's not just finalized items. It's going to be finalized items, stackables, residue. It's going to be all your outputs put together. But I can put pen to paper and know, okay, this blueprint has an 85% success rate. So that means whatever TT value I put in, it's going to pump out a total of 85% of that for me. I can do all my numbers now. I can run every number I need to run. I can figure out all the margins I need to figure out. I can figure out what I need to pay for certain inputs. I can figure out what I need to sell certain items for after I make them. I can do all my math by hand very easily once I grasp that concept. And that's why I say this is probably the most important video that I will put out probably for the next year when it comes to Entropia Universe, because this is something that is so misunderstood by the community. This is something that so few players grasp. People are literally just grasping at straws and guessing. So they're going, oh, well, I want to craft this, and I need this input, and I don't have it, and it's on auction. I'm not really sure how much I can pay for it. I'm just going to willy-nilly buy it off auction. And then they go to sell it, and they're like, I can only sell it for what the average, selling price is because I've got competitors. So they try and sell it, and then they go, well, I ended up losing a crap load of money. Crafting doesn't work. No, crafting works exactly how it's designed to work. That success rate means something. Most people are just confusing what it means. And once you understand that that success rate is actually talking about the TT value that's going to be pumped out to you, now it makes working out all the margins and all the numbers so super simple. And I have to admit, I missed it for a long time. I totally had it confused for a very, very long time until I actually started realizing hey, the correlation here isn't what you think. It's not this info column at all. I started seeing, I was like, wow, the results I'm getting as TT outputs, they're seeming really, really close to what those success rate numbers were. And it's kind of like the light bulb went off. So I know, like I said, there's going to be some people sitting there going, well, yeah, obviously, duh. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that don't understand this. And I think as people begin to understand this, if more people would understand it and live by it and actually work it out on paper, I think it will, at the end of the day, be better for the economy. I think it will be better for the game. I think it will be better for the players. I think it will be better all the way around. I think it may even go a long way in helping with the problem of people playing nut cut when they put stuff on auction. People are constantly trying to just list something at a half a ped below what their competitor lists it at just to try and get a quick sell. And then they turn around and they go, well, I don't understand why I keep losing money every time I make something, every time I sell something on auction. Well, they might stop doing that if they were actually working out the margins and seeing what it's actually costing them to produce, what they're losing simply by producing it. Because we know the TT value. The TT value you're going to get back is whatever the success rate says. So then if you can figure out, okay, so what if that is just extra, like residue, and what was an actual sellable item, how much residue did I have to use to make that item, then they can work out the margins of what they need to sell it for. Well, if it costs you 186% to manufacture, and everybody else is selling them on auction for 150%, are you really willing to lose that much money just to turn it back into PED that quickly? If the answer is no, which I think it would be a large portion of the time, we could actually see markups go up. We could actually see the economy improve if people had a better understanding of what that success rate means. And I think once they see this, once they start putting pen to paper, and they see that that success rate is really talking about TT total output for your run, I think that if more people would actually put that pen to paper, it could have a lot of positive effects for the economy. Doesn't mean necessarily prices are going to go up across the board. Some prices might go up, some might go down. Knowing people, I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact on a global scale. I think there's individual people watching this video. It's going to help tremendously. But people are creatures of habit. And if people weren't willing to put pen to paper before, then people in general are not going to be willing to put pen to paper afterward. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to have this massive impact on the game worldwide, and everybody's going to sit there with pen and paper and work out every margin on every item they buy and every item they sell. But I think on an individual level, there's plenty of people watching this video that the light bulb just came on, and this is a total game changer. They were totally scared to craft before, and now it's like, aha, I think I understand why I wasn't grasping it before. So we might see more people crafting. That's good for the game. That's good for the economy. That's good for Mind Art. That's good for everybody. If you can do something and do it while being informed and understanding what you're doing, that is the important thing. That is the important takeaway. If you understand what you're signing up for, if you understand exactly what you're doing and exactly how it functions and how it works, you're an informed consumer. Doing something without understanding how it works, without understanding all the intricacies of it, that's never a good thing. Never. So I hope that this has turned the light bulb on for a lot of people. I think this will probably be the biggest video of 2023 when it comes to Entropia Universe, as far as something that helps people understand a part of the game they just did not understand previously. I think it will go a long way in helping individual players make better decisions when they craft, when they go in and actually decide to make those items to sell to other players or just craft for the heck of it. I think it'll help them decide which blueprints to use and when, and I think it'll just all around probably be one of the most helpful videos I've made for a large segment of people. I know it's not going to be for everybody, but I think it will help a ton of players in a really, really drastic way. And it's one I've wanted to make for a while. I just hadn't really had a good time to put it out. This seemed as good of a time as any. So I'm going to wrap it up. I want to leave it there. One thing I wanted to notice, remember when we looked at this blueprint, my result should be 93.5. So whatever TT value I pump in, it should pump out 93.5% of that, right? Well, look at the ingredients. Basic stone extractor. Okay, the value is 1 peck, and it uses 1 per attempt. The markup on those is about 130%, 130 to 150. So, okay, pretty good markup. And I've got a pretty decent stack of them. But what's the other input? Bruchite, a stone. What's the TT value? Practically nothing, practically zero. So notice in this instance, I'm actually using an input that has zero TT value. It's something I just picked up off the ground. If I had a massive stack of like 5 million, it might have a very small TT value. I've got just over 1,000 of them, and on an individual basis, it's worth literally nothing. So it's essentially disregarding the bruchite stone that I'm using. It's more or less using the TT value of the extractors, and that's how it's doing the math. So it's disregarding the bruchite, which has no TT value, and it's such a small TT value you can't even see it when carried to 4 decimal places, and it's looking at the value of the stone extractors. It's going, okay, these stone extractors are 1 peck each, so I have to go through 100 attempts to use 1 ped worth of stone extractors. So if I go through 1,000 attempts, I'm going to go through, what, 10 ped worth of stone extractors with a 93.5% success rate. So I can do the math pretty easy in my head because this has 2 inputs, one with no TT value and one with such a small TT value that's so easy to calculate. If I do 1,000 attempts, I'm using 10 ped TT value of extractors, 93.5% success rate. That means my total outputs between the actual stone texture I'm getting, shrapnel, residue, all of it, is going to be 9.35 ped of outputs. Because 1,000 attempts, 1 per attempt, is 10 ped TT value, 93.5% success rate. So I'm going to end up with 9.35 ped TT value of outputs. Shrapnel, stone textures, residue, whole 9 yards. Extractors, I get back all of it. 93.5 ped, or I'm sorry, 9.35 ped. So I'm going to lose 65 peck worth of value doing a 1,000 click run. 65 peck worth of value. Now, in doing that run, I'm going to complete this mission. When I complete this mission, I will get a little skill gain out of it because the reward is engineering skills. So it will actually be slightly less than a 65 peck loss, plus markup of course, because of the value of the skills that's going into it. So see how you can run all the numbers literally in your head. Just work it out with pen and paper, basic arithmetic. Once you understand this concept, total game changer for so many people. So I hope this helps you out. As I said, this does not apply universally. There are exceptions to the rule, such as boosted blueprints. I'm even going so far as to say that enhancer blueprints may act differently than this. But now I hope this really puts into perspective crafting in a new light. So I'm going to leave it there for today. Sip, sip, smack, smack. Cough, cough now, I guess. Y'all know the rest. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to hit that bell icon and subscribe to the channel so you know when we post a new video. Because I don't always give advance notice that I'm going to be posting something big, and you very well could miss it. But if you've got that little bell icon, you're going to know every time we post a video, and you're going to be there for all the big info. Also, when you hit that like button, it always means a lot to us because there's always a hater hitting the dislike button. So every single like that we get matters, and we really appreciate all the Stevies out there that hit the like button on every single video, whether it was super relevant to them or not. Also, head over to earnped.com because when you earn, we earn. That is by far the best way that you guys can help support us. We were not the first, nor are we the only place where you can earn ped online. So when you choose to support us, it really matters. It really means a lot to us. We'll leave it there for today. We're actually going to be back on Cali very soon, probably via teleporter from yesterday's video, because we're going to be taking a lot of our loot down there with us. We've got to prepare for Halloween Mayhem and Christmas Mayhem. We've also got to get over to Cyrene and Arcadia and make some videos, so we've got a lot more good stuff coming for you guys. We'll be back with more content for you later this week. Until then, happy crafting.